really shocked me. Marcus Smart as a Celtic, I've defended him since day one, since he's came here. Looking at his standpoint of when he was drafted, I was like, okay, this guy's going to be a nice combo guard, and we'll figure it out, whatever the case may be. Whatever the shooting deficiencies are, he's going to hustle hard and compete. And that's what Marcus Smart did as a Boston Celtic for 9 years. He competed on the defensive end. He fought, clawed, did everything for the Boston Celtics. Like, he's a Tommy Point extraordinaire, right? Like, he's that guy, right? Like, I'm never going to sit there and say anything bad about Marcus Smart, despite what everybody wants to say about bad turnovers and efficient shooting. To me, he's just made more game-winning plays than not. Drafted in 2014, came in essentially with Brad Stevens, that Danny Ainge regime, where it was kind of like that rebuilding stage, right after the Big Three era, after Paul Pierce, KG, and Ray Allen. And he came in young, hustling hard, doing all the things defensively that you want to see from a young player. Hustling, there was never no question about Marcus Smart's effort, right? Like, we're never going to question his effort as a tenured as a Boston Celtic. He was a part of that old regime. Isaiah Thomas came in. He was part of that rebuilding stage where it was only like a year and a half. And we really saw the developments of this Boston Celtics team through the Jared Sullinger years and then the early stages of Jaylen Brown. Really just putting it together block, brick by brick. And Marcus Smart was a part of all of that, right? Like, I still remember the games against Houston against James Harden where he got the 2 calls at the end of the game and just the hustle that he was able to do on that end. Some of the hustle plays and just diving onto the floor. When you think about that, is Marcus Smart always the first guy that comes to mind in that regard. Just the effort that he put into being a Celtic is something that I'm always going to respect. I'm always going to respect guys that get it from the mud. Some of my favorite players in the league, Jimmy Butler, Russell Westbrook, like guys that don't have it all, but don't cheat you. They're not going to cheat you in effort. They're not going to cheat you in pride, effort, toughness. They're not going to do that. Like, they're going to give it everything they have, regardless if the other guy's better than them across from them. They're going to give it everything they have. And that's what Marcus Smart did as a Celtic. And I can't speak enough of that. He was able to win Defensive Player of the Year. And this is the price of not winning, right? Like, the Celtics didn't win in the NBA Finals. That was probably their best chance at that point in time. Well, last year, just this past season, they didn't win in the Eastern Conference Finals, and there were some issues there where people were questioning Marcus Smart's defense and things falling off. And unfortunately, some people got to go. And that's what happened here. And again, I didn't think Marcus Smart was obviously not the first choice to go. But the Celtics felt like they needed to maximize their chances of winning. And they wanted to bring in Kristaps Porzingis and felt like he was the guy. Malcolm Brogdon was the first choice, and then it was Marcus Smart. So that was really tough. This kind of reminds me of when Tony Allen went to the Memphis Grizzlies. I believe they both were 29 when they're going to the Memphis Grizzlies in that situation. And maybe this is a chance for Marcus Smart to reinvent himself, right? Like, just to get back to that defensive calling card and really help Memphis take the next level. He's obviously going to help that franchise tremendously, I believe. I believe he has like 3 years left on his deal. I believe he's going to help out the Memphis Grizzlies. He's going to be missed in Boston, of course. I understand why the Celtics did this in the sense of we needed a different look. We needed a different loss to our front court, especially that was the issue last year, especially, again, relying on Al Horford, in my opinion, too much. Robert Williams not always being healthy. But this is a swing for the fences here. The Celtics are putting all their chips in the table there, trading for Kristaps Porzingis. It's going to be interesting to see what they do extension-wise, if they're just going to let him play throughout the season, maybe build his value, maybe another team tries to do a sign and trade at that point in time. But we'll see what happens. I understand why the move was made. I wish we could have kept Marcus Smart because what he means to this team, in my opinion. But the Celtics needed a different look. They needed more spacing. They needed shooting. They needed somebody that can be a little bit more reliable at this point in time. And hopefully Kristaps Porzingis can stay healthy for the Boston Celtics. Hopefully Marcus Smart, when he goes to the Memphis Grizzlies, can bolster their defense. This is a tough one to take in because Marcus Smart has been here so long. When you think about the Boston Celtics as one of the players here, you think about Jason Tatum, you think about Jaylen Brown, and then you think about Marcus Smart. And to see one of those guys go out, guys that just made the finals a couple years ago, and that first kind of break, right? Like they were always talking about, people in the public were always talking about splitting the Jays up, doing something different. And you didn't think Marcus Smart was going to be a part of be out on the outs of that. When you see Marcus Smart, you just think of the guy that's just going to be here forever and just throw his body around. And he did that for the Boston Celtics. And apparently it was just one too many battles there, one too many losses. And the Celtics are moving on from him and bringing in Kristaps Porzingis right before the draft. The Celtics are also getting those picks. Seeing those picks there, they probably like somebody at the end of the draft that they can target and see if they can help and play a wing position and see if there's anybody that can help right away. They can possibly trade that pick with Grant, Payne Pritchard, and a pick. Maybe there's a silent trade there that we don't see what's happening. Maybe there's another addition that they're going to be making. But right now, that backcourt there with Malcolm Brogdon, Derek White, Payne Pritchard for now, I think there's a little bit balance there offensively, at least from that standpoint. Derek White is a good defender, made second team all defensive last year. So we're going to see how that plays out and see if he's able to step up in that role again. And see what position the Celtics go in. Is by a long shot, is Payton Pritchard going to be the starter now? I don't know how that's going to sit around Boston. Pretty sure some people will be happy. I'm pretty sure some people won't like it. But is that a potential option that the Celtics have? He's still a good shooter. I believe he's a good facilitator. People forget that he was one of the best passers in college. So the playmaking ability is there. Is that a different role that he can play that they're potentially looking at for him? The front court, again, just providing that flexibility. Any other moves that the Celtics need, I think they need a wing. I think they need a wing to back up Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown at certain points because I feel like that was a strong point. Of course, these guys are young and going to play a lot of minutes, but at some point you need somebody there to hold the fort, especially if one of those guys are getting rest. But I think this bolsters our front court there with actual shot blocking ability, a guy that can actually spread the floor in Porzingis if healthy. Hopefully he's able to stay healthy. Just crazy, man. Just crazy that Marcus Smart's gone, man. That's how I honestly feel about it. Now, the Malcolm Brogdon trade, if that went through, would have been a little, because Malcolm Brogdon came in here, he did his job, took a reserve role, played that six-man position really well. And injury aside, I'm like, yeah, he got hurt at the wrong time, but it's like I'm not going to hold him to that. So to see him come back and now, they were trying to trade you, how is that going to affect you going forward? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe he's a professional. He's most likely going to be that professional guy and just keep playing. But that does, we saw what it did with Jaylen Brown and stuff like that over the course of the season, and people having concerns about that. But it's going to be interesting. But again, this is going to give Jaylen and Jason the opportunity to step up and bluster. And now you have the spacing that you need. You're going to have the defense a little bit better, at least in the front court that you need. And you got different options where, I think it's probably the best position to, at times, especially late in games, to slide Jason Tatum to the 4, slide Jaylen Brown to the 3, Derek White at the 2, and then Malcolm Brogdon at the 1, Payton Pritchard, or whoever they decide to put in that position. And you have multiple options there that you can go to now. Offensively, you can hold up a little bit better defensively, hopefully. And we're going to see what happens here. This is going to be interesting. This is the second blockbuster trade of the summer, right? We already had the Bradley Beal trade, which I talked about in episode 52 with Emmanuel Vincent, so check that out as well. But yeah, man, it's crazy right now to see Marcus Smart going from the Boston Celtics, bringing in Kristaps Porzingis, and the Celtics are going forward, putting all the chips on the table. We'll see what this does salary-wise if they're just going to let Kristaps Porzingis play out the season. I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to do that. I'm pretty sure he wants to kind of secure a contract. And we're going to see what happens because Jaylen Brown still has a supermax contract that he can sign before the beginning of the season. And then if not, I think before like September or whatever the case may be, then he can become an unrestricted free agent and then sign even for more money potentially down the line. Going to be interesting season for sure. Grant Williams also, where does he stand in this echelon of moves and trades? Obviously that blosters their front court. Is he still going to be able to maybe fill that void there, whatever the number is that they tried to bring him back or tried to trade him? It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, man, Kristaps Porzingis on the Boston Celtics, Marcus Smart on the Memphis Grizzlies. end of an era, I guess you could say, from that standpoint of the Boston Celtics, right? Like the Marcus Smart type of era, right? Um, Kind of that last domino from that Danny Ainge rebuild. Yeah, and we're heading on to the offseason. The draft is actually Thursday, so we'll see if any more moves come down, and I'll try to give a little draft recap, see if any trades happen. Um, but yeah, Kristaps Porzingis to the Boston Celtics, Marcus Smart to the Memphis Grizzlies, and I am shocked at that. That Marcus Smart had to be the odd man out, and some people are happy, some people are not. I am not. That Marcus had to go. I understand why the move was made. Porzingis coming in. Hopefully, he can stay healthy, and hopefully be able to produce and be able to fit in well and be able to help Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown get to the next level, which is the NBA championship. And I think that's what the Celtics are doing, pushing all the chips into the table with Kristaps Porzingis, getting off a longer contract than Marcus Smart. And we'll see what moves that the Celtics are going to make moving forward. And we'll see what type of moves are made this NBA offseason as we continue. As I said, this is my favorite time of the year, and shockingly, Marcus Smart's not with the team anymore. So, yeah, that's where we are right now. So that will do it for this episode of the Basketball Soapbox, episode 53. I'll be probably doing a draft recap this weekend and looking at some of those that potentially happen. And some more off-season stuff that I'm working on. Ring takes will also be up, hopefully tomorrow. We're going to record tonight. So some more stuff coming to the channel, so check it out. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for joining me, and until next time.